Hello folks, hope you're having a great day today. Today I want to pick up and go to the fourth book in the Amber series. Today we're looking at the Hand of Oberon, which is the fourth of a 5-book series. All these books, I mean, you could probably read them in a day. These books were written at a time when books were not these big giant tomes that are hundreds and hundreds of pages long. And this book, just like the other ones at novel length, is about 175 pages long. It would not take you long to read it at all. In fact, you could probably read the entire series with one book a day. And probably read the entire series over a week if you wanted to. With giving a couple extra days for some extra stuff that's happening. But these are very dense. There's a lot of things that happen in these books. More things happen in one of these books than probably in 170 pages than would happen probably in 350 pages in a normal sized novel. Like a Sanderson novel or something. So we're going to take a look at this. Again, Roger Zelazny, this is this major work. There's a lot of philosophical things that are happening, a lot of behind the scenes things that are happening. It's a strong work. It's the only one that comes back to, and so forth. And Zelazny is an award-winning author from Hugo, Nebula, and stuff from across many a different perspective. So we're going to take a look now at the fourth book in the series. Again, I try to keep my reviews spoiler-free, except for the first part of the storyline. So what I'm going to do is kind of bring you back to speed for what happened for the first 2.5 books, and then also fill you in for the last part of House of the Unicorn, which is the third book we just finished. And then we'll take a look at the Hand of Oberon, which is the fourth book, just in brief, before we then move on, and we'll finish this review, and then I'll knock off the fifth review and finish the series. I'm going to publish these probably once a month or so to give you a chance to read them, but again, you would not need that time if you're dedicated to the central Amber series. In Amber, we have this central plane called the Amber itself, which is kind of the center of existence, except we actually find out at the end of the third, and then all the other planes are shadows of it, except we actually find out near the end of the third book that, surprise, surprise, there's actually Amber itself is the first shadow of a more primal plane that's behind it, and that the pattern in Amber is actually a reflection of the primal pattern that's actually on this other plane that's kind of the growth of the unicorn. So what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be introducing the primal pattern and so forth. We also find out what has been happening to existence. And to get you caught up at the end of book, there's been this clash for the throne of the House of Amber by all the different people that are members of it and different alliances and sort of backstabbings and such that have been happening throughout the first three books. During the first 2 books, Corwin launches an attack against Council Amber, fails, is thrown into the dungeons, ultimately will escape, puts together a giant army of guns with gunpowder from Avalon and guns from Earth that he uses to attack his home world, but when he arrives, finds out that it's been under assault for some time, helps them win battles against the Chaos, but Eric, his brother, dies, and bequeaths him the Jewel of Judgment, which he will use to create, to walk the pattern, and so forth. Then they arrive, and then he kind of is now the defender of the throne Amber, with Eric, his brother, dead, but him now having the Jewel of Judgment. He has allied himself with Benedict to some degree, although Benedict will ultimately fight him. He also has slept with his Benedict's granddaughter, Dara, who walked the pattern and now has powers, and moves from plane to plane herself, as well as other people like Ganelon, Random, other people out there like too that are helping him out. So we find out in actual fact is that our main character is Corwin and so forth, and that we've seen throughout their travels through the shadow that there's been a huge number of attacks by chaotic forces. Initially, Corwin had thought that this may have been because of his curse that he'd given. That wasn't a full death curse because he hadn't died yet. When a member of the House of Amber dies, they can issue this death curse, which is this nasty curse that will take place right afterwards. Begin to really hurt the people that hurt them too. So he issued a curse, but it was lesser. So he thought that may have been what ended up happening in reality, though he's come to realize that they are not connected at all. In fact, what's been happening to reality, these big giant swaths of the Black Road that goes from one plane to another, stuff like that, and all these attacks from chaos are all coming from damage to the original primal pattern. And what they see is that on this primal pattern on this plane, where everything is at. There's this giant swath of blood from one of the House of Amber that's been killed or just bled, and then a big giant scar has been put across the primal pattern, and that giant scar that's been done to the damage of the initial pattern has been damaging the rest of the universe. It seems what had ended up happening in the beginning was that when this initial pattern was created and all the existence sort of came up around it, so all of existence, all these different planes, Amber and the other ones, all rely on this initial primal pattern to survive. And as long as this pattern remains undamaged, then the rest of the multiverse will continue as normal. So Corwin is going to try to... So Corwin, in book 3, he'd gotten rid of the Jewel of Judgment because it had been taking over him and he was going to die with it after he attuned it and so forth. So he left it behind on Earth. Now him and some of his people are going to go out, try to find the Jewel of Judgment and bring it back so they can use it to repair the damaged pattern and so forth, because the Jewel of Judgment is what his father Oberon used to create this pattern, this primal pattern. So he can then restore it. It's in it he'll come across Oberon, Oberon's father, Dworkin, who will reveal that he's actually Oberon's father and that his Oberon's mother was the unicorn, and so forth. That's been used as that's kind of the sign of the House of Amber and such. So anyway, so they're going to be setting on a quest to go get the Jewel of Judgment and then head back to the primal area and so forth. There's also a lot of revelations that are going to happen in this story, like a lot of revelations that are going to happen in this story, particularly with people like Brand and some of the other members of the House of Amber, Julian, and some others. So you're going to find out that there's been a super secret cabal of 3 of the members of House of Amber that the group that Corwin was fighting in books 1 and 2 actually were the good guys who were trying to fight up against these other secret cabal of bad guys. Some of them have been helping Corwin from behind the scenes or in front in order to help him out. So there's these revelations that are going to start happening and so forth. It's very interesting to see these sorts of things that are going to shift and such. But again, ultimately the main goal of the book is to grab the Jewel of Judgment so that they can restore the damaged primal pattern and thus restore all the damages that have been happening to the multiverse and so forth. So this is the major point of the book. Near the end of the book, they try to... I'm sorry, that'll be my final review. I was about ready to get you caught up in the last half of the book, but I decided not to because I forgot this is... I'm recording all these videos back to back, and I had forgotten for a moment this is actually going to be the next video. Then I'm going to finish you up on what happens. So again, that gets you caught up to about halfway through the book 4, the Hand of Oberon, who is, of course, the father of the original king, and who just left. He didn't even abdicate. People thought he died, but we find out in book 1 he's actually still alive, but we haven't heard about him from ever since. So, this is again the Hand of Oberon as the name of this book. And it's the 4th of the series, the Chronicles of Amber. Again, a lot of political stuff is happening. That's what the series is. That's who this writer is, and so forth. So you just want to go into it with eyes wide open. This is not going to be a traditional fantasy where you're kind of going from place to place. That's fine. It also continues to have all the sort of magic, the unique magicness of Amber, such as trumps or patterns of walking. And a person from the House of Amber who's walked the pattern can mentally move from one plane to another from adjacent planes in order to move from one plane to another. They can also communicate with each other via trumps and teleport to each other's places or bring them actually through. So there's these different things that they can do with the trumps themselves. So that's kind of the unique magic of the Amber universe. It's very interesting and so forth. And of course, they're going to actually arrive in the Courts of Chaos for a little bit of time. Near the beginning of it, the Courts of Chaos is kind of the other side of the multiverse from Amber and the primal plane that created it, of which Amber is the first reflection, and all the various shadow planes that are out there too. So the planes in shadow are kind of here, with the Courts of Chaos over here is a completely separate sort of area of existence. So you have the planes walk from one to the other, but it doesn't have all those reflections or anything. So the Courts of Chaos are outside the pattern, and so forth. You'll actually visit it shortly, and Corwin at the beginning of the book will see it and get a chance to kind of see who the Courts of Chaos are and so forth before heading back. So that's it. That finishes up my review. If you have read this, I'd love to talk about you more. I'd be happy to finish up the review, spoilers and so forth. And again, I'll go ahead and stop this and go ahead and then hit record on for my 5th video, and we'll get you taken care of. If you watched this video, hey, I want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day, investing in this video and so forth. I appreciate that you spent some time with this when we all have busy days, busy lives and such. And if you're interested in this, please feel free to hit that subscribe button. There's going to be so many more videos to follow. I'm mainly interested in reviews of science fiction, fantasy, and horror works that are classic and forgotten. So please feel free to hit that subscribe button if you are, in fact, interested in following many more reviews that I'll be doing in the future. Thanks for your time.